Okay, so I think we should start. Afnan, please do let me know. मेरी screen visible है आप सबको?
Yes, Abdullah, visible.
Okay. और can you please tell अभी कौन सी slide शो हो रही है?
It's the intro slide.
Okay, so Assalamu alaikum everyone. So we are just starting our today's session. My name is Abdullah bin Aftab. I'm the co-founder of AWS Cloud Club Pakistan. By profession, I'm a data engineer at Metasol. और जहाँ तक मेरी तालीम की बात की जाए तो currently I'm studying at नमल यूनिवर्सिटी और मैं वहाँ से सॉफ्टवेयर इंजीनियरिंग कर रहा हूँ. Okay, so I promise I won't take so much time. Let me give you the brief introduction of this cloud club, the AWS Cloud Club Pakistan. Okay. Okay, so इस cloud के mission and goals क्या हैं? So it's a student-driven community, a cloud community. So basically a first regional cloud community. हमने ये initiative लिया था और हमारी जो team है across all of the Pakistan है अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह. We have few members from Karachi, Mardan, Islamabad, Lahore and Jhang, Gujarat, etc. तो एक रीजनल क्लब है, हमारा कोई भी सिटी वाइज चैप्टर नहीं है और हम स्टूडेंट्स को एम्पावर करते हैं विद क्लाउड स्किल्स, जैसा कि आज आप हमारा सेशन लेने जाएंगे. इन फ्यूचर इंशाल्लाह ऐसे और भी सेशंस होंगे. तो हम वी जस्ट स्टार्टेड विद द गेटिंग स्टार्टेड विद AWS सेशन एंड नाउ वी हैव जनरेटिव एआई सेशन. और अभी कुछ ही दिनों पहले हमारा एक लैम्डा पर सेशन हुआ था विद कोलैबोरेशन विद कॉमसेट यूनिवर्सिटी. सो इसी तरह हमारा गोल भी ये है कि हम पाकिस्तान में ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा जहाँ जहाँ पहले क्लाउड सीखा जाता था इंडस्ट्री में, नाउ वी आर एमिंग के अब हम यूनिवर्सिटी में ही अपने जो फाइनल ईयर प्रोजेक्ट्स तक हैं हम वो सब क्लाउड पर ही ले जाएं रादर देन कि हम ऑन प्रेमिसेस पे सब कुछ करें. ओके, सो एक्टिविटीज़ हम क्या क्या कराते हैं, आई थिंक ये मैं बोल चुका हूँ कि वी आर एम्पावरिंग स्टूडेंट्स विद क्लाउड स्किल्स और हमारा एम यही है कि आप लोगों को क्लाउड आ जाए. और AWS, वाई AWS? इसलिए क्योंकि AWS इज अ लीडिंग क्लाउड प्लेटफॉर्म. अगर मार्केट शेयर की बात की जाए तो आई थिंक AWS सबसे फर्स्ट पे आता है, देन वी हैव Azure, देन GCP, उसके बाद बाकी Teradata एक्सेट्रा. ओके, सो अचीवमेंट्स एंड इम्पैक्ट क्या है? वी आर डायरेक्टली रिकॉग्नाइज्ड बाय AWS एंड अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह उनको हमारी सारी टीम का इंट्रोडक्शन भी पता है और वो काफ़ी जैसे कि आज अभी इवेंट हो रहा है तो आई एम प्रीटी श्योर उनका एडवोकेसी टीम से कोई ना कोई ये इवेंट भी ज्वाइन करेगा और वो हमारे सारे एस्पेक्ट्स देखेगा कि ये उनके क्वालिटी स्टैंडर्ड्स पर उतर रहे हैं कि नहीं. देन वी गॉट द फीडबैक फ्रॉम देयर और लाइक यू कैन से वी आर recognized by AWS. So yes. Okay, so how to join and get involved our sessions? We are available on Instagram, WhatsApp, LinkedIn, and Meetup. And definitely, Afnan Khan would be shared links in the chat, or you can just type AWS Cloud Club Pakistan, so you can just land into our pages. And yes, I forgot to paste the icon of YouTube. हमारी जितने भी सेशंस होते हैं उन सब की रिकॉर्डिंग्स हमारे यूट्यूब चैनल है with the same name, AWS Cloud Club Pakistan, उस पर होती हैं. Okay, so let's start with the intro of our honorable speaker, uh, Mahum Tariq. एक एक मिनट. Wait. Okay, so sorry. Okay, so we have our honorable speaker, Mahum Tariq. By profession, she is analytics engineer at Jazz. For those who don't know, Jazz is one of the Pakistan's the top telecommunication companies. Or Maham has an amazing journey with AWS and has made Pakistan proud by winning, AWS All Builders Welcome grant twice in her journey. Or for those of you जिनको नहीं पता कि ये grant क्या चीज़ है, so this grant gave her the chance to attend AWS Reinvent, a biggest global event held every year by AWS. इसमें cloud giants आते हैं. I'm not saying tech giants, different countries से even from all over the world cloud giants आते हैं. They just got networking and काफ़ी अच्छा इवेंट होता है वो और काफ़ी इम्पैक्टफुल इवेंट होता है. So yes, and her achievements in the cloud field are truly inspiring. And we are excited to have you, Maham. So now, please, over to you. Let's start with our session, Generative AI Apps with PartyRock. Now, over to you, Maham. Thank you.
Thank you for the introduction, Abdullah, and thank you everyone for joining. Um, Let me share my screen. All right, so today's session is about generative AI applications with AWS PartyRock. Um, so the agenda for today is I'm going to share a little bit about my background. Then we will talk about a high-level overview of what is generative AI. Then we will move on to a demo of PartyRock and how you can use PartyRock, which is an application by AWS to generate GenAI applications. And then we will have a Q&A session in which you can ask any questions about PartyRock, generative AI, or even career in general. I have seen some intros in the chats that people have shared, so I think we have a mixed audience. People are from different majors, studying in different universities, and some have CS background, some have even developed generative AI apps, and some are from mechanical engineering or other engineering fields. So very excited to have you all together here. This is a high-level session, so I'm sure that all of you will learn from it and will be able to benefit from this in your day-to-day work. So moving on, as Abdullah also shared, I work as an analytics engineer at Jazz. It is the biggest telco company in Pakistan. Jazz also has a portfolio of digital services. Prior to Jazz, I have around 6 years in total of experience in data and cloud domains, working for enterprises and startups. I did my undergrad from NUS-SEEKS and completed my software engineering from there. Then I joined Teradata as a data integration consultant and worked for several international customers there. After Teradata, I switched to a startup in US. It was an edtech early stage startup where I did program management and analytics. And after that, now I'm working at Jazz, again in data analytics space. So basically, my experience has been around a spectrum of data-related roles. I've also worked in Teradata on cloud migration projects, so I'm familiar with AWS migrations. The other thing related to AWS is that I've been involved in many community programs from AWS, like the Community Builders program, the New Voices programs, which is a public speaking program. And more recently, last year, I got the AWS reInvent grant, which is called All Builders Welcome Grant. And that sponsored my trip to Las Vegas for the reInvent conference. That is an annual AWS conference. It is the biggest cloud conference in the world. There are around 60,000 people that attended. This year, I was invited there as an alumni advisor. So I had a group of 10 people from different countries that I had the opportunity to mentor so that they can have a good experience at the conference. So moving on to the session, we are going to now talk a little bit about what is generative AI all about. And to explain this, I'm going to use some artwork and illustrations by Henrik Nyberg. So let's get started. So ever since computers were invented, the traditional programming works in a way that you feed a set of instructions into the computer and it executes those instructions and generates an output. What's happening now is that computers have started the ability to learn and to think and to communicate just like us. And they can perform intellectual and creative work that previously only humans could do. And this technology is called generative AI. And you might have already used it in products like ChatGPT. So basically, intelligence is now available as a service. And it is not perfect, but it is improving at an exponential rate. And it is affecting and improving every industry and every individual. in positive or negative ways. And in this session, we are going to talk about what is generative AI all about, and how you can use generative AI as a student or as a professional, and how you can make sure you are better equipped to succeed in the age of generative AI. So here is a mental model to think about generative AI. So Gen AI is like having an Einstein in your basement. And what I mean by that is having an expert and a smart person, but this person, it's a mixture of expert in every domain and every field, and it has the sum of all human knowledge that available at its hand. And so you can ask any question and it will respond within seconds. It's never going to run out of patience. You can ask it to take on any role. It can respond to you as a doctor, as an engineer, as a coach, as a comedian, as a poet, as an artist, and be the expert in that field. But this does have human-like limitations. It can make mistakes. It can jump to conclusions. It can even make up information which is not true. But the biggest limitation of using generative AI is actually your imagination and how you communicate with this technology. And this skill is known as prompt engineering. And in today's age, it's as important of a skill as reading and writing. Okay, so let's talk about some of the terminology. So AI, or artificial intelligence, the fields like machine learning and computer vision, these have been around for decades. What's new about generative AI is that with generative AI, it can actually create new and original content rather than just classifying or predicting content. And its ability to generate something new is where the G in GPT comes from. So large language models, they are a type of generative AI that can communicate using normal human-like language. And ChatGPT is a product which is made by OpenAI. It uses GPT model under the hood. And it's basically an advanced chatbot that uses the transformer architecture, which is the T in GPT. It's fluent in human-like languages, and it's so fluent that you can actually interact with it seamlessly without being an AI expert or without even being a programmer. And this has triggered a whole new revolution in the industry. So how does this actually work? So a large language model is effectively a artificial neural network. It has a bunch of different numbers or parameters that are connected to each other, similar to how human brain is a bunch of neurons. And then it takes numbers as input and generates another set of numbers as output. But what's good about it is we can also use text, images, audio, or video as we can turn it into numbers, vectorize it, and feed that numeric interpretation into the neural network, and it can then generate numbers that can be converted back to text, images, audio, or video. And this enables us to interact with this technology. So as an example here, we have fed the two words dogs are to this artificial neural network. And it's going to process, so these two words will be converted into a numeric representation, and then these will be processed. And another set of numbers will be generated that is then translated to the next word that it is predicting, which is animals. So it has predicted dogs are animals. Then if we feed this dogs are animals again, the next word to it. So it can basically continue to do this indefinitely by adding more prompts. And a large language model can have billions or even trillions of parameters, and this is why they're called large. So how are the numbers of parameters set? We cannot do so many because these are billions of parameters. So the way this is done is that it is trained, just like humans are trained. So for example, the way a human child learns to speak is it's exposed to a lot of communication happening around the child. and then it can pick up on some words and start to talk, maybe a word or two, and then people will respond to that word, and the child will learn through reinforcement, if it was the correct language or not, and it will start to develop capability in that language. Similarly, these neural networks are fed tons of data as training data set. And then it learns through identifying patterns and back propagation. And it can guess the next word repeatedly until it becomes very good at predicting the next word. So to become useful, it also requires human training in addition to back propagation, and that is called as reinforcement learning with human feedback. So this involves thousands of hours of human work where humans are actually evaluating the model's output and providing feedback, similar to how are trained initially. And this enables us, this enables the neural network to know what outputs to discourage or what not to share. In ChatGPT, legal, it might information to provide that because it's trained on the internet, but it will not provide that information because the human training is there to stop it from spreading any illegal information. So once the training is complete, the weights and the parameters are frozen for the most part, and this is called a pre-trained model. There is still some space for fine-tuning that can happen later. And in future, we might also have models that are continuously learning beyond the training phase. And like a pre-trained model is generally referred to as a foundation model. So although ChatGPT started this whole evolution, now there are a lot of other models in the market like Llama, Claude, Bard, GPT 3.5, GPT 4, and so on and so forth. And these models vary in their speed, how fast they are, in their capability, how expensive they are to be used, can they be downloaded or not, are they available as open source models, or what is their ease of use. Some models are more specialized, some are more generalized, and some are integrated in products. So there is a variety of different models available. Now, these are some of the high-level model types that are currently available. So there are text-to-text models. So if you provide a text input to them, they generate a text output. You can also provide code as input to the model, and it will generate code as output. Then there are text-to-image models. So for example, in this example, we have provided Einstein sitting in the basement as an input, and it has generated this image. And there are also image-to-image models. So in this case, we have fed two different images, one of Einstein sitting in the basement and one of ugly cat. And this has superimposed the images or combined them into this new image. Then there are also text models where you could feed an image into it and it will create a textual representation about what the image is. So for example, it's saying a fusion of human and cat seated in an armchair. Then we also have speech-to-text models where if you provide an audio, convert it into text. Then there are text-to-audio models. So for example, if you provide people talking in a busy restaurant, the model can generate an ambient noise of a restaurant, so to speak. And then there are text-to-video models as well that can take text as input and generate a video out of it. So these days, in addition to these distinct model types, there are also multimodal models available as well that can take multiple types of input, text, images, audio, video, and generate an output. So initially, large language models, they were just predicting, just like word predictors, right? So they had limited practical use, but as they become larger and larger and they got trained on more and more data, they started gaining emergent capabilities. So, and these capabilities were so surprising that even the developers of technology did not expect those. So these models became so strong that they could role play, they could write poetry, they could provide legal and medical advice, they could do corporate strategy, they could code, and all these things. Um, so these are basically the things that previously only humans could do. And it turns out that if a model has been trained as seeing enough text and enough images, it can start to see patterns and it can start to understand high level concepts just like humans do. So in this example, this image has been fed into ChatGPT and we have asked what will happen if I use the scissors. And ChatGPT has actually generated a pretty good response where it seems to understand that the scissors role is to cut the rope and then there is gravity involved, so the egg will fall down and so on. So it has shown that it can actually fully understand the image and multiple facets of the image and generate a strong output. Okay, so on the right side, if you see there is a graph plotted of capability plotted over time. So if you think about like 300,000 years ago or so, human brain has actually its capability is linear. But AI and computers, they have been around for the past 80 years. But their capability has, because of generative AI now in recent times, increased exponentially. And right now we are at a point where we are kind of at the intersection of human intelligence and artificial intelligence, where there are some tasks that AI can do better than us, and there are some tasks that humans can do better than AI, but it's exponentially increasing. So there is a chance that it can start to outperform human intelligence as well. But this is not the first time that there is a revolution in human history. There have been revolutions in agriculture, printing press, steam power, telegraphs. The only difference is all these were slow revolutions, so they took decades to take place, versus generative AI is a fast revolution and everyone has access to it because of the internet. So dealing with this type of changing revolution, it's challenging for humans. And basically people lie on a spectrum of different mindsets about AI. So on one side of the spectrum, we have denial, where people think that AI doesn't work. It's all hype and we don't have time to look into AI. And there is a quote about it which says like AI might not take your job, but people or companies using AI will. On the other side of spectrum, there are people who are panicked, who think that AI is going to replace humans or it's going to replace jobs, and companies will go bankrupt. And somewhere in the middle of it is a more positive mindset about AI, which is that AI, if we use it correctly, it can actually augment our work and it can make us super productive. And that's a good mindset to think about generative AI and the upcoming technologies. So what is going to be the role of humans in artificial intelligence? Are humans going to be still needed? So to understand this, we have to know that AI also needs, there's a lot of context that goes into generating good responses, right? So we still have people who have domain knowledge who need to decide what are the right questions to ask AI. How do we formulate the prompt? What context should be provided? How to evaluate the outcomes and the results? Are they strong enough or not? AI can sometimes hallucinate also. It can provide bogus information in a very convincing way. So we also need guardrails to protect that. So humans are still needed and AI is to augment our work and our capabilities. Right. So now on the right side of this, you can see the difference between models and products. So basically, to distinguish between the two, we have AI models, and then there are products that are built on top of it. And as a user of AI, you normally do not interact directly with an artificial intelligence. model, but you use a product like ChatGPT, and that provides you a UI that under the hood uses an API call to the model. Similarly, if you are going to create your own product, you will create a UI, a web application or a mobile application that can under the hood make APIs to the model and provide a user interface. And in that, you can add additional management and controls about data security and how the flow of the application works. So to use effectively, we have to be good at communicating with it and providing it a good prompt. So for example, here we have provided a prompt agenda for the workshop. This is not very clear. It's a very generic question. So a good example of a prompt is provided below, where we are saying, I'm meeting a leadership team at a consulting firm. The goal of workshop is to figure out how they can use AI. We have 8 to 4 people. So this is a very clear prompt that provides the context to AI. So if you provide a good prompt or a good input to AI, then it can generate a powerful and strong output. And this is normally the way that it works is you provide a prompt and you get a response. So you can add a follow-up prompt to steer the answer in the right direction. You can update your prompt to get the response and continue doing it until you get good response. So good prompt engineering skills lead to better results. So it's important for us to keep practicing and keep learning the skill of prompt engineering, because AI is becoming more and more relevant. So to wrap up the generative AI section, it's basically an important skill for us to start to use generative AI to augment our work. And it's also important for us to keep practicing and improving our prompt engineering skills so we are better equipped to experiment with the generative AI. Okay, so now we are going to talk about PartyRock. It's an Amazon ground. And in this, you can share generative AI apps. You can experiment, you can provide the application with the prompt, and it will generate an application by using the models available in Amazon Bedrock. And then you can also publish the application, and you can also remix existing applications by making slight changes in them and then start to use them. This is more for personal use, but it has very good use cases. We are going to experiment with it a little bit and see how it works. And then I'm sure you will be able to think about use cases for it in your personal work as a student or a professional. So let's move on to the demo. So to use PartyRock, you can go to the partyrock.aws website, and then it will ask you to sign in. It provides you with access to create like free apps, and you will be able to see how much credits you have left. So right now I have signed in, and this is like the home page. If we click on generate app, it will ask us what would you like your app to do. So here we can provide a prompt to it, right? So because most of you are students, I'll actually create a career advisor sort of app, and then we can tweak it around and see how it works. So I'm going to say, create a tech career advisor application that responds to the following inputs. The user inputs skills or domain, and the app will generate a learning path, recommend personal project ideas, and recommend relevant roles in industry that the person can apply for in job search. So this is a prompt that I have provided, and now I'm going to click on generate. So it will take a while to generate the application, and then we can explore it and see how it works. So basically, just like you provide a prompt to ChatGPT, we have provided it a prompt, but instead of providing us with a textual response, it is going to generate an application that we can interact with as a user, and we can also publish it. Okay, so it has created an app called Career Navigator now. It uses multiple widgets. The first one takes user skills input. This is the prompt that we provided it. And then it generates a learning path, a project ideas, and relevant roles. So for example, I can say that I'm interested in data engineering on AWS and modern data stack. Right, so I've written a domain and a skill that I'm interested in. Now, if I click on play here, it has started generating a learning path for me. So it's saying that I should start with foundational knowledge in 4 to 6 weeks, build up Python programming and SQL fundamentals, then learn AWS fundamentals, data engineering basics, AWS data services. Then it provides components for the modern data stack, including Airbyte, Snowflake, dbt, Airflow, Tableau. So if you are in the data domain, you will notice that it's actually quite a good, strong learning path. Then over here, it's also providing us with project ideas. So these are projects that a person who aspires to be a data scientist, a data engineer can, for example, build to showcase in their portfolio. So it says we can build a real-time social media analytics platform, IoT data processing, and predictive maintenance system description, and so on and so forth. So it provided us with a list of 5 project ideas that we can develop to develop our skills. Then it's sharing relevant roles in the industry that the person can aim for example, data engineer job role, cloud data architect job role. And there is also a career advisor chat, right? So for example, here it's interactive. This widget is interactive, so I can actually ask it a question, it will respond. So for example, if I ask which certifications should I take? And because our initial skill set that we had mentioned was data engineering and AWS, it has recommended AWS certified data analytics specialty, database specialty, solutions architect, Google Cloud data engineer, and so on and so forth. So we can also edit the app once it's created and tweak it around. So one thing that we can do is, for example, we can resize these widgets. So these are all fitting into one page. As you can see, it's very user-friendly and very interactive. You do not really need to be technical to play around with it. And it's a very powerful tool to augment your work. Okay, so for example, now these are all here. We can also add a widget. So these are the available types of widgets that we can add to the app. It can take user input. For example, over here, we were giving a user input. Then it can also take static text as input or a document. So for example, in this example, we could have provided it with our resume in the document widget, and then it would have processed it and provided more personalized recommendations. And then there are AI-powered widgets. One of them is text generation, just like relevant roles is a text generation widget here. Then there is also an image generation widget and a chatbot widget. So for example, the career advisor chat widget here was a chatbot one. I'm going to add the image generation just because we don't have it here already. So I'll create a new widget. And I'm going to say that we are going to call it the image of the professional, and we can say the image of a professional working in domain that the user provided here. And then we can save it. And if I click play here, it is actually going to generate an image based on this input. So let's see. And if you look at, if it's, this is an image that it has created of a data engineer, and if you look at the screens here, it's actually uh, showing, dashboards and analytical dashboards and stuff like that, and also coding involved here. So you can play around with it and update the application. It's a very powerful tool. Another thing that I would like to show is you can click on the edit widget and actually see how this widget was prompted, and you can update this prompt to customize it more. It also allows you to customize the label of the widget. So for example, here it says learning path, we can actually edit it. And it will also allow you to experiment with different models, right? So it's showing that this widget is currently using the Claude 3.5 Sonnet model. You can actually select a model of your choice and see how it performs. Then it also have these temperature and top P value. Is the screen okay? It's still visible. Okay, so it can also it also allows you to update the temperature and top P values here. These are parameters that control randomness and diversity of the output of the model. You can also experiment with this and see how your application is performing. Then once you're happy with your application, you can actually go ahead and publish your application. So I have left the edit mode. And then over here, it says my app is private. If I click on it, it allows me to make my application public. So I click on make application public. And once it's public, you can actually share the link of the application with anyone, and they can interact with the application as a user. One more thing that I'd like to show you is when you click on generate app, we actually provided it with a prompt here, but there is also an option to build manually where you pick widgets one by one and provide prompts to them for a more custom experience. It also has this option that says inspire me with example prompts. And here it has 3 sections: productivity, fun stuff, and educative. And it has ideas for different applications that you can build, right? So for example, it is a social media post generator. So if you're working in something like a AWS Cloud Club, you can actually build a PartyRock app that generates your social media posts based on the inputs you provided. So here is an example of a prompt that you can use to generate the app. Then on the left side, and there are PartyRock guidelines, roadmap, and backstage. So you can also explore here how to create an app, remix an application, start with an empty app and everything. So you can review the documentation to customize your apps. Then over here, it explains what are the different types of widgets. So there is an image generation. We explored this one. There's a chatbot, just like we asked about certification and it responded to us. This is similar to how ChatGPT works. And there's text generation widget. And then there are input widgets like user input, document upload, static text, and all that. And then there are also some tips about prompt engineering and also model-specific tips about prompt engineering. So, for example, it will show you if you're using a particular model, what are the specific prompt engineering techniques for that model to respond well. All right, so that's pretty much it. You can go to partyrock.aws, create a few apps to explore the capabilities and maybe augment your day-to-day work or learning as a student. I'll stop sharing my screen now. And if you have any questions or feedback, then happy to take that.
Thank you so much, Maham. Thank you so much. It was a really informative session. Okay, so we are going to take questions. Okay, if anyone wants to speak, please raise your hand. So Afnan and I will be open your mic, and Maham, inshallah, Maham will be answer your question. अच्छा, इससे पहले कोई और क्वेश्चन करे? मैम, मेरा आपसे क्वेश्चन है। Am I audible?
जी जी।
ओके, जो हम एप्स बनाते हैं पार्टी रॉक में, तो इसके बाद व्हाट व्हाट्स द प्रोसेस अगर हम इसके अपनी एक ऑन प्रेम जो एप्लीकेशन है, लेट्स से वी हैव अ वेब एप्लीकेशन फॉर द प्रोजेक्ट, तो अब हमने इसमें सारी फंक्शनैलिटी उसमें कॉल करनी है, तो इज देयर एन एपीआई प्रोसेस, हम ये सब सारी, या फिर ये सिर्फ इसी वेब पे ही रहेगी, यानी कि हमारी एप्लीकेशन पार्टी रो के ही प्लेटफॉर्म में रहेगी, यहाँ पे हम इसको अपनी ऑन प्रेमिसेस जितनी भी एप्लीकेशन हैं, लेट्स से मोबाइल एप्लीकेशन, वेब एप्लीकेशन, उसमें भी हम डिप्लॉय कर सकते हैं?
अच्छा, so for now, जो PartyRock है, इसके use cases are not for enterprises or for businesses, so it's more for personal use or augmenting your own capabilities. And it's a playground where you can experiment and play around. In future, there might be capabilities, but it's not really for enterprise use or for business use at the moment.
ओके, सो प्लीज Zafar. Zafar, अपना माइक चेक कीजिएगा।
जी अस्सलाम वालेकुम मैम। अगर लाइक पार्टी रॉक में स्केलिंग और परफॉर्मेंस के इश्यूज आ रहे हो तो वो आप किस तरीके से हैंडल करेंगी? लाइक अगर हमारी ऐप के जो साइज है वो इंक्रीज हो रहा है और हमें स्केलिंग का परफॉर्मेंस का इशू आ रहा है, तो उसको हैंडल करने के लिए लाइक कौन से आप मेथडोलॉजीज यूज करती है या फिर कौन से टेक्निक्स आप यूज करती है कि आप वो गाइड कर सकती है?
Acha, Zephyr, so इसमें, as I said, it's not really for enterprise or business use. It's more for your personal learning and experimentation. अगर आपको enterprise level पे कोई application बनानी है that will operate at scale, उसके लिए there is something called Amazon Bedrock, जो एक managed services है जिसको आप customize भी कर सकते हैं, इसमें आप API calls कर सकते हैं, उसको scale कर सकते हैं and everything. So that's a separate managed service by Amazon. PartyRock is more for like interactive learning and personal use. But it's a good tool if you are getting started with generative AI and if you want to see like what are the things that are possible. Um, and as I was showing, there are multiple use cases that are also available in the platform. So आप देख सकते हैं कि और लोगों ने किस तरह के apps बनाए हुए हैं. You can copy, you can like remix their app to create your own. So it's more for use cases like that. Another resource that I can recommend that you can check out is there was a Party Rock hackathon by AWS. It's hosted on DevPost. तो वहाँ पे जो लोगों ने hackathon में submissions की होंगी Party Rock projects की, there will be a list of those and you can actually go ahead and explore कि लोगों ने किस तरीके के apps create किए थे और क्या-क्या use cases थे. So that's also a good start if you're looking for inspiration on what kinds of things are possible.
Okay, thank you so much.
But your mic is on. You can speak now.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम मैम, मेरा सवाल ये था कि क्या ये टूल हम अभी ये फ्री में अवेलेबल है, मतलब हम यूज़ कर सकते हैं इसको?
जी, अभी this tool is available for free. इसके कुछ credits होते हैं. And you can actually create multiple apps with it and experiment with it. So right now it's available for free. It might not always stay free. So I encourage you कि आप इसको use करें और available credits के अंदर अपनी applications create करके experiment करें. You can just go to the Party Rock page and then you can start creating your apps today.
Okay, thank you.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम। मैम, हम जो ऐप इससे बना लेते हैं उसका सोर्स कोड मिल जाता है हमें? हेलो।
जी जी, आपका क्वेश्चन मैंने सुन लिया है. सो सोर्स कोड जो है वो अवेलेबल नहीं होगा. दिस इज अ यूआई वेयर यू कैन क्रिएट एन ऐप और वो यहीं पे होस्टेड होगा बेस्ड ऑन कि आपके कितने अवेलेबल क्रेडिट्स हैं. यू कैन होस्ट इट हियर एंड यू कैन यूज इट, बट इसका सोर्स कोड अवेलेबल नहीं होगा एंड हाउ इट इंटरेक्ट्स विद द मॉडल. If you want that level of customization, तो उसके लिए you will have to use the Amazon Bedrock service. इसको आप इस तरीके से यूज कर सकते हैं, फॉर एग्जांपल कि जैसे इफ यू आर अ स्टूडेंट एंड यू आर लर्निंग सम न्यू टेक्नोलॉजी, ठीक है, तो आप इसको एज अ लर्निंग गाइड अपनी कोई क्रिएट कर सकते हैं. इफ यू आर प्रिपेयरिंग फॉर इंटरव्यू, सो यू कैन एक्चुअली गिव इट योर रिस्पॉन्सेज के फॉर एग्जांपल यू आर अप्लाइंग फॉर डेटा इंजीनियरिंग रोल or you're applying for grad school, for example, ठीक है, तो आपको वो question suggest करेगा, you can provide responses to it, it can customize, give you feedback on it, and you can iterate on it. तो इसको आप इस किस्म के use cases के लिए use कर सकते हैं for your personal use. Similarly, एक और use case जो हमने discuss किया था, that was social media posts. So for example, if you are a community organizer, you can actually use it for some of your marketing or social media use cases that can help you augment the capability.
Assalamu alaikum, Mahum. Firstly, I really appreciate you for sharing your valuable knowledge. Mahum, I'm audible.
वालेकुम अस्सलाम जी, थैंक यू जी. आप क्वेश्चन पूछ लें.
मैम, मेरा क्वेश्चन आपसे ये है कि आपने बताया कि जो LLMs हैं उनके बिहाइंड जो है वो ट्रांसफार्मर्स का आर्किटेक्चर है, तो हमें ट्रांसफार्मर्स की क्यों ज़रूरत पड़ी LLMs को डेवलप करने के लिए, हालांकि हमारे पास RRD डीप लर्निंग के अच्छे मॉडल थे, लाइक RNN है, LSTM है.
अच्छा, so basically for the transformer thing, I think I can share resources with you to look it up separately, because this is like a more technical qisam ka topic. For now, we were just covering like the high level overview, but you can look up transformer architecture and why it's powerful and why it was key to these generative AI models. Maybe you can connect with me on LinkedIn, or where I can share resources with you there to study it in depth. But this was primarily like a high level overview, so you get familiar with the terminologies and then you can do a deep dive if you are interested in the more technical details.
ओके. सेकंड मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि जो LLMs हैं, क्या जो हम इनको इनपुट डाटा दे रहे हैं, क्या वो उससे लर्न करते हैं, उससे लर्न कर रहे हैं या नहीं?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
हम जितने भी LLMs हैं, GPT है, llama है, क्लाउडी है, हम जो इनको इनपुट डाटा देते हैं, लाइक मैं कोई क्वेश्चन पूछता हूँ कि यार ये मेरी प्रोडक्ट है, इसके रिलेटेड मुझे ना सोशल मीडिया की पोस्ट बना दे, तो क्या जो LLM है वो मेरी इंफॉर्मेशन अपने पास अपने सर्वर पे स्टोर करता है और उससे लर्न करता है या नहीं?
अच्छा, so इसके लिए you can actually look up जो भी आप, for example, if you are using ChatGPT, तो आप उसकी पॉलिसी देख सकते हैं. Usually इस तरह होता है कि अगर आप as an enterprise customer उसको use करें and you are a paid customer, it usually will not store your information. ChatGPT में for example एक setting भी होती है that you can enable or disable कि आपकी जो information है वो training के लिए use हो या नहीं हो. So usually you can, specific to the app, you can look up the policy around how the model learns and if it stores your information or not.
ओके. सो जो ओपन एआई है, जैसे उसका लेटेस्ट मॉडल है ChatGPT 4o है, उसमें उन्होंने क्लियरली लिखा हुआ है कि हमने उसको रीइंफोर्समेंट लर्निंग में ट्रेन किया हुआ है. तो रीइंफोर्समेंट लर्निंग मीन कि वो जो हमारा इनपुट डाटा है उससे लर्न करता है और वो हमारी इन्फॉर्मेशन किसी भी जगह पे ब्रीच कर सकता है. इसका मतलब इस सेंस में लिया जाए या इसका मतलब पॉजिटिव सेंस में लिया जाए कि नहीं वो जस्ट लर्न करेगा, आपकी इन्फॉर्मेशन कहीं पे ब्रीच नहीं हो रही? लाइक मैं जो बेसिकली क्वेश्चन पूछना चाह रहा हूँ, मेरी कंपनी है, मैं उसमें कोई प्रोडक्ट लॉन्च करने वाला हूँ आज से 3 महीने के बाद, लेकिन मैं GPT को कहता हूँ यार ये मेरी प्रोडक्ट है, इसके ऊपर मुझे कुछ रिसर्च वगैरह करके दो. अब GPT को पता है कि ये मेरी प्रोडक्ट है जो मैंने 3 महीने के बाद लॉन्च करनी है, तो क्या आप उससे पूछें कि मुझे पता चला है कि एक पर्सन है जिसने इस तरह की कोई प्रोडक्ट लॉन्च करनी है 3 महीने के बाद, 4 महीने के बाद, वट एवर, क्या आपको उसका कोई आइडिया है? तो क्या पॉसिबिलिटी है कि वो आपको आंसर देगा, यस आई नो ही इज अ पर्सन, और वो प्रोडक्ट लॉन्च करने वाला है?
अच्छा, सो फॉर एनीथिंग, जिस तरह आपकी कोई कंपनी की, अगर आपका स्टार्टअप है या आपकी कंपनी है और कोई आपकी प्राइवेट इंफॉर्मेशन है, दैट इज जनरली नॉट रिकमेंडेड कि आप उसको फ्री चैट जीपीटी के अंदर यूज करें। लाइक इफ यू आर अ पेड कस्टमर और आप एज अ एंटरप्राइज सोल्यूशन उसको यूज कर रहे हैं, सो देन प्रोबेबली देयर इज सम गार्ड रेल्स अराउंड प्राइवेसी, कि वो आपकी प्राइवेसी को इंश्योर करेगा। बट इफ यू आर जस्ट यूजिंग लाइक द रेगुलर चैट जीपीटी वर्जन, देन इट्स नॉट रिकमेंडेड। जो एंटरप्राइजेज होती हैं वो भी इस तरह अपना सोर्स कोड या अपने प्रोडक्ट लॉन्चेस या कोई प्राइवेट इंफॉर्मेशन वो नहीं ऐड करती। फॉर दोज टाइप्स ऑफ यूज केसेस यू जनरली वांट टू यूज एंटरप्राइज वर्जन ऑफ द प्रोडक्ट, जिसमें आपका एक प्राइवेट एनवायरनमेंट हो जहाँ आपकी इंफॉर्मेशन जो है stays there and it's not used for training or anything.
ओके मैम, डू यू थिंक के जो एलएलएम्स हैं वो उनको रिप्लेस करने वाले हैं, एलवीएम्स या एलएलवीएम जो है लार्ज विजन मॉडल्स हैं?
अच्छा, सो ये वाली चीजें हैं, आई थिंक these as the time goes on, these will unfold. We can't really say. What we do know is that generative AI right now is very powerful. It's improving at a massive pace, and we should try to leverage it in our use cases. Um,
ओके मैम, amazon जो
Uh,
है वो
okay,
भी एक
Mohammed,
एजेंट्स।
Mohammed Baksh, can you please stop questioning? We have, queue here. So, आपके already तीन चार questions होते हैं. So you can,
जस्ट लास्ट
freely.
क्वेश्चन अबाउट द amazon।
Okay, you can ask a last question.
ओके मैम, amazon bedrock है, ये कोई भी एजेंटिक फ्रेमवर्क प्रोवाइड करता है जिसमें हम डिफरेंट एजेंट्स क्रिएट करके अपना वर्क कर सकें?
Sorry, I didn't follow. आप दोबारा पूछ सकते हैं?
मैम amazon जो है, या amazon bedrock, मुझे तो अभी आपसे ही सुना है इसके बारे में, amazon bedrock के बारे में। क्या ये इंटरनेट एक ऐसा फ्रेमवर्क हमें प्रोवाइड करता है जिसमें हम मल्टी एजेंट्स बनाने की कैपेबिलिटी हो कि हम वहाँ पे मल्टी एजेंट्स अपने क्रिएट कर सकें? लाइक एक एजेंट है जो सोशल मीडिया के लिए ट्रेंड है, सेकंड एजेंट है जो कि केस स्टडी बनाने के लिए ट्रेंड है, तो उनको हम कोलैबोरेट करवा सके आपस में।
अच्छा, सो बेडरॉक बेसिकली इट्स अ मैनेज सर्विस, और उसके ऊपर आप एपीआई कॉल्स के थ्रू मल्टीपल जो भी इंडस्ट्री लीडिंग एलएलएम्स हैं उनको यूज कर सकते हैं। एंड देन यू कैन आल्सो, लाइक इफ यू वांट टू क्रिएट एजेंट्स और बिल्ड अ पाइपलाइन ऑन इट, तो यू कैन डू दैट।
ओके मैम, थैंक यू सो मच, जज़ाकल्लाह।
Okay, so Afnan, do we have more questions?
Abdullah, I think we're done.
Okay, so I think खत्म करते हैं. Thank you so much, ma'am, for the valuable session. And please, last में आपको मैं ये कहना चाहूँगा, is there any tip for students जो आपने भी follow की और आप चाहती हैं कि हम भी follow करें for the successful journey, for the successful career, and how we can, pursue our career as a community in a community, so we can have all the grants like you. So please share your insights.
Thank you, Abdullah, for hosting and organizing this, and the entire team. So basically, I think for students, it's very important that if you are learning something, try to share it as much as possible on different platforms, because good visibility, it leads to good opportunities. So if you're learning about a new technology, try to work in communities, work with others, and showcase your good work to others, and that will hopefully lead to good opportunities. Similarly, it's encouraged these days, even in AWS communities, that you build in public, meaning if you're learning a new skill or if you're building an application or learning a new skill, then you share it with the community, and that way others can learn from you, and you can grow together, and you can also create a strong personal brand and create good visibility for you.
Thank you so much. Means a lot. So I think conclude करते हैं. Thank you so much, man.
Okay, thank you so much, Abdullah, and thank you everyone for joining. You can connect with me on LinkedIn if you like, and if you have any follow-up questions, we can discuss those there. All the best for your journey as a student and in your careers. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.